On a golden afternoon, the city pulsed with life. Cars wove through traffic like threads in a grand tapestry, and people hurried along sidewalks, lost in their daily rituals. In the very heart of this urban symphony stood Hamilton's Jewelers, a beacon of elegance and wealth, its grand glass facade gleaming under the midday sun. Inside, the boutique was a sanctuary of opulence. Velvet-lined cases shimmered with dazzling diamonds, intricately crafted gold bracelets, and rare gemstones that caught the light like liquid fire. Each piece sat like a silent promise of luxury, resting atop pristine white satin. The scent of fresh lilies mingled with the subtle aroma of polished mahogany, creating an atmosphere of refined sophistication. The door chimed softly as an elderly woman entered. She was unassuming, her small frame wrapped in a simple, time-worn coat, its edges softened from years of use. Her gray hair was tied into a neat bun, wisps escaping here and there, dancing in the sunlight streaming through the tall windows. She clutched an old leather handbag, its handles cracked, the color long faded from what was once a rich chestnut. Her name was Evelyn Brooks. Her entrance was like a quiet ripple through still water, subtle but impossible to ignore. Sales associates glanced up from their stations, their gazes sharp and appraising. In a world where appearances spoke louder than words, Evelyn's threadbare coat and sensible shoes told a story they believed they already knew. Behind the polished counter, Lena, a stylish young associate with sharp eyes and a sharper tongue, leaned toward her colleague David, the senior clerk. Her voice, low but tinged with condescension, carried the weight of her judgment. "Another window shopper," she murmured, flicking a strand of perfectly styled hair from her face. David chuckled softly, not bothering to mask his agreement. "She probably just wants to look around. Doubt she'll buy anything." Evelyn, seemingly oblivious to the silent exchange, or perhaps simply choosing not to acknowledge it, moved gracefully through the boutique. There was something measured in her steps, as though each one carried purpose. Her pale blue eyes, clouded slightly with age but still vibrant, scanned the displays, pausing every so often to admire a particularly intricate design or the brilliance of a stone. She stopped before a tall glass case. Inside, under the soft glow of perfectly angled lights, rested a stunning pair of diamond and gold drop earrings. They were masterpieces, delicate yet bold, the diamonds cut to perfection, each one catching the light in a way that made them seem alive. The price tag, discreetly tucked beneath the velvet cushion, revealed their status as the most expensive item in the store. Evelyn leaned forward, her reflection merging with the glittering gems. Her fingers, thin and weathered, brushed against the cool glass. There was a look in her eyes, a deep, quiet longing that spoke of memories and perhaps regrets. Lena, still watching from the counter, sighed heavily. "She's dreaming," she muttered. "No way she's buying those." David smirked. "Let's not waste too much time." Yet, duty dictated a level of civility. With a rehearsed smile that never quite reached his eyes, David approached Evelyn. "Good afternoon, ma'am. Is there anything I can help you with today?" His tone was polite, but distant, like a waiter reciting specials to a customer he didn't expect much of. Evelyn turned toward him, her gaze soft but knowing. "They're beautiful," she said simply, her voice carrying the warmth of someone who had weathered many winters. "Absolutely beautiful." David nodded, barely masking his impatience. "They're one of our finest pieces. They remind me of something," Evelyn mused, her eyes drifting back to the earrings. "My late husband once gave me a pendant. Many years ago. It had the same kind of light in it." There was a pause, brief, fragile. David cleared his throat. "A lovely memory, I'm sure." Evelyn smiled faintly, but said nothing more. Instead, she reached for her handbag, her movements deliberate and calm. The employees, barely paying attention, continued their quiet conversations, already dismissing the moment as just another meaningless encounter. But then Evelyn opened her bag. From within, she pulled out an envelope, thick, heavy, its edges frayed from handling. With careful fingers, she opened it, revealing a stack of crisp $100 bills, neatly bundled and organized. The room shifted. It was as though the very air thickened with shock. Conversations halted mid-sentence. The clink of a teacup being placed on a saucer echoed in the sudden hush. David's eyes widened, the false smile falling from his face. Evelyn placed the envelope on the glass counter with a soft tap. "I'd like to purchase the earrings," she said, her tone unchanged, calm, self-assured. For a beat, David stood frozen. Then, as if jolted awake, he scrambled into action. "Oh, of course, ma'am. Right away." The transformation was instantaneous. Employees who had moments ago dismissed Evelyn now surged forward with renewed energy. Lena rushed over, her earlier disdain washed away by a flood of eager professionalism. "Would you like to see any matching pieces?" she asked, her voice now syrupy sweet. Evelyn regarded her with the same calm eyes. "No, thank you. Just the earrings." They scrambled to offer her the finest packaging, complimentary services, even a glass of champagne. The shift in their demeanor was almost comical. Desperation laced their voices as they tried to make up for the assumptions they had made just moments earlier. Evelyn, however, was unmoved. She remained steady, her focus unshaken by the sudden attention. She counted out the bills with care, placing the full amount on the counter without flinching. David's hands trembled as he carefully boxed the earrings, treating them now as if they held more value simply because of who was buying them. When the transaction was complete, Evelyn took the small velvet bag, offered a gentle smile, and nodded. "Thank you," she said softly. And with that, she left. The bell above the door jingled as it closed behind her, its cheerful chime at odds with the heavy silence that remained inside. David stood, slack-jawed, while Lena's face flushed crimson with embarrassment. Mark, the youngest associate, was the first to speak. We really screwed that up." David didn't answer right away. He stared at the empty space where Evelyn had stood just minutes ago, the weight of their mistake sinking deep into his chest. "She didn't say a single harsh word," he finally muttered. "She didn't have to." There was a pause, a stillness that settled heavy in the air. "She let us show who we really are," Lena whispered, almost to herself. Outside, Evelyn walked slowly down the sun-drenched street, the small bag swinging gently from her arm. A soft smile played on her lips, not of smugness, but of quiet satisfaction. She had seen people like them before, people quick to judge, quick to sort others into neat little boxes. And today, she had reminded them that the surface never tells the whole story. Back inside Hamilton's Jewelers, the employees slowly returned to their duties, each of them carrying the heavy, silent weight of what had just transpired. Beneath the glittering chandeliers and behind the gleaming display cases, a lesson lingered, subtle but unforgettable. Appearances could deceive, and sometimes the most valuable things in life aren't made of gold or diamonds, but of understanding, humility, and the willingness to look deeper.